Hello and welcome to Box Office Chat, the weekly show from Movie Burner Entertainment where we discuss the top 10 films within the United Kingdom's box office. This is for the weekend, September 21st to 23rd, 2018. And joining me as ever is Stephen to discuss the box office. What have we got number one this week, Stephen?
In its first week, John, is The House with a Clock in Its Walls. That's a hard one to say. But this is grossed 3.4 million over the weekend. I don't know too much about this film. I know that you've gone and seen this one.
I did indeed.
It's starring Jack Black and directed by Eli Roth.
Yeah, Stephen, I can't lie. I went to see this film because of Jack Black. I think the guy's just hilarious. I loved him for many, many a year. And I loved him in Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle last year as well. Or was it this year? I can't remember. I think it bled into this year. Yeah. There's been a lot of talk, Stephen, about whether the success of that Sony release was down to Dwayne Johnson's star pool, and I think a lot of people have been speculating that perhaps Jack Black might have been the reason as well for its success, because it was very successful, and he's been discussing what it felt like to be part of a hugely successful juggernaut of a film at the box office, and I think it's clear that it's not just down to Dwayne. I think Jack had a part to play in that film's success as well, but I'm not talking about Jumanji Welcome to the Jungle. I'm talking about The House with a Clock in Its Walls. I did go and see it because it interested me. It was an interesting concept. Never heard of the novel it's based upon. I think it's written by John Bellairs. I've never read the novel. That seems to be a recurring theme in these shows. Every time a film's based on a novel, I've never read the novel. Clearly I'm not a big reader, or I just don't read this. I read books like The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, page turners, easy to read. But this film, thoroughly enjoyed it. Thought it was fresh, charming, had a good blend of comedy and some telegraph scares, but they weren't directed at my demographic. These scares were at children. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. There was a lot of funny characters in there, superfluous to the main story. Not Jack Black or Kate Blanchett or Kate Blanchett, whatever way you want to say her name. Characters like the hedge cat. I think he called it cat. He just called it cat, but it was like a lion. Took the form of a hedge. It was based on a novel, as I did say. It's all about magic. This young boy loses his parents. He goes to stay with his uncle in a big mysterious house. It's full of clocks, and it slowly fleshes out the story, what's going on. His uncle's a warlock. His friend was an evil warlock, practiced blood magic, left a clock, a mysterious clock inside the walls. It's ticking. It was driving his uncle up the wall. It soon becomes apparent this clock, his ability to wipe the earth out. It's an apocalyptic clock. So him and his on-off romantic figure, played by Kate Blanchett, they're kind of a bicker at each other, but it's clear they've got a thing for each other. Florence Zimmerman and Jonathan Barnevelt are the names. They, along with a young newcomer, Lewis Barnevelt, played by Owen Vicaro, they try and save the day. He accidentally raises this evil warlock. It gets killed during said blood magic I was talking about, and they all band together to try and kill this guy and his sadistic sidekick. I'll fire in with this little conclusion, Stephen, because I'm not going to talk about it all night, but I'll fire in my little short summary. Says I enjoyed it quite a bit more than I should have done. It was magical, charming, had a good antagonist, and I cared for Jonathan, Florence and Lewis. I even cared for the magical chair. Says that was another good character. It was almost like a dog, but a chair. I thought it was well written. It had a good sparring of comedy mixed with some mild horror elements, as I did say, and mostly good visuals. The cinematography I thought was brilliant, and the score was a highlight. The score just added to the magical feeling of the whole thing. Really enjoyed it. Never heard of a guy that had done the score, but I'll be looking out for him in the future. Jack Black was a standout. Amongst a very good trio of leading actors. I thought Blanchett did what she does best, and the young Owen Vicaro was very good as the shy, weird kid who found an inner strength that celebrated his weirdness, i.e. learning this magic. Welsh struggled to get over the loss of his parents. Someone described as a mildly diverting Halloween appetizer that serviceably channels early Harry Potter, and I'd say that's probably the perfect description. I thought it was an enjoyable little film. Not amazing, not spectacular, but enjoyable nonetheless. It surprised me. Not surprised it's doing well in the box office.
Yeah, Owen Vicaro, John, I know him from Daddy's Home, I think. He was in the sequel too, the little kid. Yes. Kyle McLaughlin, Colin Camp, some names from the past there as well. So overall, it's quite a good cast. Yes. Eli Roth, on the other hand, though, he's a bit of a mixed bag with me, John, because I thoroughly enjoyed Death Wish, the Death Wish that came out this year, the Bruce Willis one.
Yes.
Hostel, I didn't really like that. No. That seems to be where he thrives in the horror genre. But nevertheless, I mean, it's getting good feedback. I think it's got a good rating on IMDb, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's
around about 6.
6 out of 10, so it's not too bad. And its first week as well, it's doing pretty well. It's doing the rounds here in Glasgow. It's 22 theatres. That's quite widespread for a film like this. There has been a lot of talk about this. I know it came out in the US a little while ago, and when a film comes out, when there's that kind of period, that window of maybe a week or two before it hits the UK, we do get word of mouth via the internet, and I was expecting this to come in and do well. Didn't think it would get right in at number 1, to be fair, but we'll see how it performs as the weeks roll on. We're going to move on to number 2 now, John.
Yes.
This is another new film. It's grossed 1.6 million over the weekend, A Simple Favour, and this film is it's directed by Paul Feig.
Yes.
Not too familiar with him. I know that he's done a lot of television work. This stars Anna Kendrick, Blake Lively, I think that is, and Henry Goldings, amongst other people as well. It's a big cast, and this movie is it's about a woman who seeks to uncover the truth behind the disappearance of her best friend, and this is a comedy crime drama.
Yeah, all I know about Paul Feig is that he directed a number of episodes of Arrested Development. He also done one episode of Mad Men, and he was in Parks and Recreation. I'd say he was in, he directed an episode. Not a hugely successful director by any means. He's just dipping his toes into the whole directing of a feature film, I would have said. This film, not got a clue about it, Stephen, can't lie. I didn't even know it existed until I seen it in the box office this week. But certainly it's got an interesting cast. Anna Kendrick, I've heard of her. She's an okay actress. She was in the Pitch Perfect films, I believe, which I haven't seen any of, incidentally, but I know she's a middling to good actress anyway. I see Henry Goldings in there. We were talking about him last week. I think he's in Crazy Rich Asians. I says I'd probably seen him on Jimmy Fallon. I don't know if I have. Maybe I just seen the name, thought I knew him. I don't know. Blake Lively as well. She's certainly one that's probably a standout there for me in terms of the cast. The story looks interesting though. It's all about a woman, as you did say, seeking to uncover the truth behind the disappearance of her best friend. We all like those mystery crime films. Well, I say we all do. I like them. I'm a Columbo man. But I've not seen the film. I can't really discuss it in great depth. All I can say is that opening with 1.6 million for a film of this stature is very, very decent. Look at its ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, 84% from all the critics, 80 from the top, and an 80% rating from the audience members, nearly 3,000 ratings. So that's very, very good. You go into Box Office Mojo and look at the total breakdown. Worldwide gross, $62.8 million. Don't know what the budget is, but after a week or so, that is, well, I think it's 2 weeks in the United States. That's still very decent. Yeah,
it's been out here for 10 days now, John. It came out on the 20th of September, and it's getting good ratings on IMDb as well, John. 7.2 out of 10. It's not a film I don't think I'm going to get right on my road to go and see this in the cinema or anything like that. Certainly when it comes on, Netflix or whatever, if it comes on that, or one of the other streaming services, I might check it out. I'm a bit like yourself. I do like a mystery type of film, crime drama. This one's a comedy as well, so that's quite interesting. Anna Kendrick, yeah, you're right. I quite like Anna Kendrick actually. She's quite a versatile actress.
Yeah.
She did the voice for Poppy in the Trolls movie, as you recall.
Yes, I do.
First movie I saw her in was that one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt as well, 50-50. I think that was the first film I saw her in. But she's a very versatile actress, and I think she'll do well in this as well.
Yes.
We're just going to move on though to number 3 this week in the box office. It's Crazy Rich Asians, as you just mentioned, John, in its second week, grossing 1.1 million over the weekend, overall 3.6 million.
Yes, 3.6 million is very impressive, as I did say last week, for a film which is dominated with an Asian cast. And you tend to find that people in the likes of United States or United Kingdom won't go and watch these films. We've seen it with Skyscraper, set in Hong Kong, had quite a large amount of Asian actors and actresses in it. And for whatever reason, it didn't go on to the success you'd expect a Dwayne Johnson blockbuster to do. And I think it was speculated it was down to the setting and the predominant Asian cast. So this is very impressive indeed, but I'm not surprised. I've still not went to see it because I'm not really into rom-coms. I did say last week I'm more than likely will go and watch it. I've not changed my mind. The ratings, 93% from the critics, 95% from the top critics, 81% audience score. It's getting pretty unanimous good feedback. And you look at some of the reviews, I spoke about these reviews last week, but they're saying the result was a hugely enjoyable, and hooray to Hollywood for making it happen. So this seems to be the recurring theme. They're saying hooray to Hollywood for having the balls to make a film. It's got a large Asian cast. A lot of people may not know many of the actors and actresses in it. But they've had the balls to do it, and it's paid off, because apparently it's a very funny film with a very interesting story. It's about it's basically a contemporary romantic comedy based on a global bestseller, and it follows a native New Yorker, Rachel Chu, to Singapore to meet her boyfriend's family. I don't know any of the cast, I said that last week, but a certain Henry Golding is in there, and he's in that last film as well, Stephen, so he's a very busy man, and he's doing very well, because he's got 2 films now in the top 10 in the United Kingdom box office.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh, I know her from Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, very good actress. 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb, John, so it's really doing its thing. It really is. It's performing well here in the UK. As you said, it's one of these movies that have got a predominantly Asian cast, and sometimes you have to pardon our ignorance. As I said, I only know a couple of the cast members in Henry Golding's, as we were talking about earlier, and Michelle Yeoh, but it's one of those movies I will get round to seeing. It's interesting enough. Maybe you want to go along and see it with your partner or whatever. Yeah. It's certainly got that kind of comedy romance to it that appeals to couples and stuff like that. But it's doing the rounds here in Glasgow, 17 theatres. That's pretty impressive for a film of this stature, and it's doing really good.
And it's doing very well in the United States as well, Stephen. $165.6 million. It's a 75-25% split between the United States and the rest of the world. $218.88 million total gross off of a $30 million production budget. Well and truly made a profit, so hats off to the executives and the producers in the studio for having the foresight and the balls to make this film happen, because it's paid off, and it does show you don't have to have a star name every single time to have a film pay off. You just need an interesting story and the right balance of humour and drama or thriller or whatever the hell genre you're going for, and you'll get a success.
Yeah, coming in at number 4, John, is King of Thieves, and its second week in the box office, grossing 1.1 million and overall grossing 3.7 million. Very similar to Crazy Rich Asians. This film stars Michael Caine and a whole list of actors we all know. Michael Gambon in there, Charlie Cox, the Daredevil, and it's directed by James Marsh, but it's doing okay.
It is doing okay. £3.7 million for a film of this stature after 2 weeks. Certainly when you look at the critical response, Stephen, it's not getting a massively positive critical response. 32% from all the critics. No information available from top critics who've clearly not bothered their arses getting off their arses to go and see this film. They're clearly not bothered. They don't think it's worthy of their time, such as the snobbery of these guys. They just go and watch art house horrors, or they go and watch a big blockbuster just so they can poke fun at it and say, look at us. But even the audience, 39% on the Rotten Tomatoes, just 145 user ratings incidentally though. So I think this is probably a film that's maybe only popped up over here in the United Kingdom. It's not got a massively wide release. It's very centric to our country. It's based on the events of an actual heist over here. I think it took place in London. It was a small little jewellery shop that get done. Then they get done well and truly to I think it was to the tune of over £100 million or something. That might be a bit more, I can't remember. It was a lot of money anyway. And a lot of people have been criticising this. I've seen a lot of people saying they shouldn't be glorifying this. This was based on a real thing. These guys actually went in and stole this jewellery. Shouldn't be glorifying it, but shut up. That's what I say to them. Shut up. Stop being little bedwetters, you know. I've seen this before. The Great Train Robbery's been adapted into film many a time, and I thoroughly enjoyed. Most recently with Luke Evans, a man I thoroughly enjoy watching. I think he's a fantastic actor. So I say to these people that are criticising it, shut the hell up. This is movie. We take interest in events that happen in real life, we adapt them into films, and you've got a great cast. The likes of Michael Caine, Michael Gambon, Jim Broadbent, as you did say, a whole host of... It's basically a who's who of the British actors, Stephen. Veteran actors. So I've not seen it. Probably will go and watch it though, just because it's got all these guys in it that I've enjoyed over the years. So yeah.
Yeah, I remember a big hullabaloo about the film. Phil Collins played Buster, and it was based on the Great Train Robber as well. It's some people take offence to, I don't really regard it as glorifying. I think it's playing out true events. Sometimes you have to jazz it up a little to make it interesting.
It was an incredible, Stephen. It was an incredible, daring heist they pulled off. You don't see these type of things happening in modern day Britain or in the world. So
we're certainly not saying it's the right thing to do or anything like that, but it's, it was an amazing heist. But we're going to move on, John, to number 5 this week. This is us halfway through the box office already. It is in its third week, grossing another £1 million. Overall 9.5 million. It is The Nun.
It is The Nun. £9.5 million after 3 weeks. That's very impressive for a film of this calibre, Stephen, because it's not a good film. Arguably one of the worst films I've seen this year. It's a bad joke for a horror film, and Corin Hardy, if this is what this guy's capabilities are, I don't think I'll be going to watch another film of his for a long time until I've got a decent enough amount of evidence to suggest that he's improved. 43% audience score, 33% critics and top critic scores on Rotten Tomatoes. It's grossed $330 million worldwide as well. That's its total gross. $109 million in the domestic market. In this case, that's the US. And $221 million in the foreign markets, off of just a $22 million production budget. I'm saying it's not the best film critically. I didn't get a huge amount of enjoyment out of it. But you can't argue with that domestic or that box office performance, Stephen. It's made a massive profit. So they've been vindicated in creating this story. But I don't think this film would do... I don't think the sequel to this film will do anywhere near as well, just because people have went and seen it and realised it's essentially a pile of shit. They've used cheap parlour tricks and jump scares. They've grossly underused the nun character, which I thought was an absolute joke. People have paid to go and see this character. You talk it and push it up in the trailers. The shot of the nun walking down the dark catacomb hallway and the nun's tiptoeing up behind her. And then you get to the film, we don't see her until basically the final third of the film. It's an absolute joke. But I don't think people will go and watch this again, the sequel. They've opened it up for a sequel. It's done well, box office wise. But they need to up their game big time, because if this is what it's going to be like next time, then it'll flop.
I think purely because it carries the Conjuring name, John. I think that's where those figures come in.
Is he very outstanding?
And don't get me wrong, I think it's performed well in the box office. Longevity, I don't think it's going to be in the top 10 for much longer. No. Average ratings as well, as we've just discussed, and certainly the same on IMDb. 5.7 out of 10. Not great.
And you see it's dropped 44.2% this weekend too. Third weekend, 44.2% drop. Only grossing $1 million. I don't know if there's a huge amount of films coming out that'll push it that much down. It may hang around for another month or so. But you've got the likes of First Man and stuff like that coming out, so that might push it down. I'll have to have a look at the new releases.
Yeah, Johnny English is coming out as well, but it's not my cup of tea, but it does have a good fan base. Fans of Rowan Atkinson, so we're going to move on to the next film in the box office at number 6. It's Mile 22, and its first week grossing 800,000 over the weekend, and this film stars Mark Wahlberg and is directed by Peter Berg.
Yeah, these guys have had a number of collaborations together. I think they were involved in Deepwater Horizon, Patriots Day, quite a few other things. I usually enjoy these guys' films. I thoroughly enjoyed Deepwater Horizon. Really enjoyed Patriots Day. I thought that was a smashing story, an adaptation of the Boston Marathon bombing from, obviously, I think it was about 10 years ago or something. I can't remember the exact dates. This one, though, critically not getting as good a feedback as those films. They were in the high 80s, or the mid 80s at the very least. This one's only getting 24% off all critics, 25% off of top critics, 48% off of audience members on Rotten Tomatoes, 1,800 reviews from the users, so, and it's 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. That isn't great, but it's Mark Wahlberg, and I think I'd probably go and give it a watch just for that guy alone. It's got John Malkovich, Lauren Cohen. She obviously, I know her from The Walking Dead. She's a very good actress. There's a few other people in there as well, so it's an interesting concept. An elite American intelligence officer aided by a top-secret tactical command unit tries to smuggle a mysterious police officer with sensitive information out of the country. That's interesting, and it's only an hour and 34 minutes long. It's not like it's a big, long film. It's overstaying its welcome. It's short, succinct, and it's to the point. It's an action film, and Mark Wahlberg knows how to do action films, but critically it ain't doing great. Certainly box office-wise, £795,000 in its opening weekend. Isn't blowing me away either. Total grossing $59.8 million. I think it's only been out roughly about. No, saying that, I look at the release date, Stephen, 17th of August. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's been out for over a month in the United States. I don't know, a month and a half.
19th of September over here, John.
19th of September, so it's one of those ones we've had to wait about 2 months longer than the United States. Production budget of $50 million. Nah, it's not making a profit, Stephen. I don't see it. That's a flop.
Peter Berg has a history of this, John. He also did Hancock. Do you remember that one from 10 years ago, Will Smith?
Yeah.
You know, it had all the potential of being a good movie, and then it wasn't.
Lone Survivor as well. That was the other one I enjoyed, Stephen, by him and Mark Wahlberg.
So he's got a history there, Peter Berg. But Mark Wahlberg does what he does best in these movies. You know, he is a good action hero, and this is right down his street. Certainly not down my street. I don't think I'll be rushing out to see this movie, to be honest with you, John. Another movie that I'm not be rushing out to see, but I do want to see it through curiosity. Coming in at number 7 this week. It's dropped drastically from its previous position in its second week, grossing 700,000 over the weekend. Very poor. Overall 3.8 million over the weekend. The Predator.
Yes. Yeah, it's down 263 theatres in its second week. A gargantuan 72% drop. That ain't good. I think what the moral of the story here is, Stephen, you don't cast your sexual offender friend for these films out of pity, because nobody wants to work with a sexual offender. It's unacceptable. You don't do that, and you don't bring them in with law-abiding citizens. I said that in my review last week. I felt for Olivia Munn, who had to act with this creep, and she only discovered through her own investigative work, I'd assume, that this guy was a sex offender. Nobody, certainly not Shane Black, for it fitting to tell. I think this has definitely hurt this film's box office performance. You look at its production budget, $88 million, and its worldwide grossing is just $115.8 million. You take into account the cuts of the theatres and the promotional side, because it did have some trailers over here. I've seen a couple of trailers for it, and they have been pushing it. So that has to be taken into account. It's not made a profit, and it's not going to make a profit. I said last week it was going to be a flop, and this is just about confirmed it, really. It's sitting at 7th after being at number 1. That's probably the biggest drop I've seen in a long, long time in the box office. That is ridiculous. But I'm not surprised because of that whole controversy. And not just that, we've got I say it in my review, the PC going mad liberals who like to get offended by everything. We had a guy who had Tourette's in the film, part of the loonies, which that'll offend them as well because they're called the loonies. And he was the butt of some jokes, and they didn't like that. I seen that before I went to see the film. These are the same people who... We've seen this with A Dog's Life from, I think it was last year, where these same idiots were squealing about dogs being mistreated. I think PETA came in and accusing them of mistreating the dogs, which in actual fact was a complete lie. I think they says a dog had been getting mistreated in a pool or something, and it turned out it was a lot of bollocks because the dog had been used to water, it had been trained in water. And it's the same with this. You're going to have these people kicking up a fuss no matter what you do. Some people are just out there to be offended. I think it's Michael Caine's Alfred says in Batman, Stephen, some people are out to see the world burn, some people are out to be offended as well. So you can turn it to that. But listen, I didn't mind the film. I thought it was an okay action film. It had some amazing visuals, some amazing action sequences. The moment, I say it again, I said it last week, the moment where the Predator wakes up in the lab and just rips the absolute place to shreds. Everything in it gets murdered. That was glorious. But the acting was average in the main, and it was a fairly average to middling action film, but I enjoyed it nonetheless because I'm a sucker for these popcorn flicks, and I don't think it deserves its box office performance, but that's life. And as I said, the moral of the story is, don't cast your sexual offender friend.
Yeah, the Predator.
The Predator, exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be one of these films, John. It's it grossed just over 3 million in its first week, and that's down to the fact that the Predator as a franchise, the fan base for that will want to go out and see how this film performed. But that was last week. This is this week, and a lot has happened in 7 days. And I didn't think it would drop off as quickly as that, to be honest with you.
And you look at those new releases there, Stephen. My, A Star Is Born. I think that's a Lady Gaga film.
Yep.
Venom, Operation Finale, as you did say earlier.
Yep.
Johnny English Strikes Back. A lot of good films coming out. Mandy, So I think it's going to drop
as well, John.
Smallfoot is going to drop like a stone at about the top 10.
October's going to be a big month, if we're being honest, John. It's going to it's going to shake things up in the top 10 because these last three films we're going to talk about, we've been talking about for weeks. Coming in at number 8 is Disney's Christopher Robin in its 6th week, grossing another $500,000 over the weekend. Overall, 13.6 million.
Yeah, it's not great. I keep saying it every week, and it's dropped 582 theatres now, so it's going to be gone very soon. Can't be in a lot of theatres. I don't know if that's true. Sometimes this website puts up that it's dropped its entire theatres, allocation of theatres, and it's an absolute bollocks. So this might be bollocks, but I digress. It's not going to be around for much longer. It's been out 6 weeks. £13.6 million isn't amazing. Its total worldwide gross $165.5 million. Don't know what the budget is. I think it was around about $70 million or so, around about that mark. $75 million.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just about a profit or whether it's just about broke even, but that ain't great for a Disney film. But as we did say last week on Movie Burner Now, Stephen, they've got Mary Poppins Returns coming out. That's going to be a gargantuan success. I can feel it in my bones. Christmas period, it looks amazing. It looks like an incredible musical.
Yeah.
People over here have just been, they can't get enough of musicals. We've seen it with Mamma Mia. We've seen it with The Greatest Showman, La La Land before that. All done very well at the box office. So they ain't caring about this film. This is the black sheep of the 2018 release. They've grossed over $6 billion for the year of 2018. I think that's their second best performance in a year. They don't care.
They can afford to do this, John.
Yeah. And I enjoyed the film.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, John. It's not a bad film. 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. My own personal opinion, it was a great movie.
Yeah.
I think it came out at the right time. I think Disney played their cards well in this. You know, you could say perhaps if this was the Christmas release, it might have done better. I don't know. Mary Poppins Returns is more anticipated, I think, because it's a direct sequel to the original film. And as you said, it's a musical as well. It seems to be the thing just now. And I mean, it was a great film. I'm just waiting for it for coming out on digital release now, and I'll certainly be getting that for my daughter because she thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm going to move on to number 9 this week. It's in its 11th week now, grossing 300,000 over the weekend. I think that's probably been the lowest it's been since it came into the top 10 all those weeks ago, all those months ago. Overall grossing £55 million. It is Incredibles 2.
Yes, apparently this has dropped 495 theatres as well, but £55 million is just outrageously good. I think that's one of the best performing animated releases in a number of years. I think even the likes of Paddington 2, Coco, they didn't quite break that. I think Paddington 2 might have got close, but I'm pretty sure this has been one of the best performing animated films in the United Kingdom in a number of years. 11 weeks. It's near the end of its stint in the top 10 or box office in general. But what can you say about this film, Stephen? It's absolutely outstanding. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I say it again and again. I thought it was better than the original, which is an amazing feat for Brad Bird, because the original was a cult classic, an amazing film. Took all the great things from that film, brought it over, and it seemed to expand it out and make it better, much like Deadpool and Deadpool 2. Worldwide gross, now over $1.2 billion worldwide. That's another Disney release. That's added to the healthy bank balance. So they're not caring, as I did say. An amazing film. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Not got much more to add. Reaching the end, but it's a happy end.
I watched Incredibles, the original movie, on Sunday, John. Yeah. It came on Sky Movies, and I forgot how good it was.
Yes, but better villain as well, Stephen.
But what I will say is, I thought my judgment was because I hadn't seen Incredibles for such a long time, and I'd just freshly seen the sequel. But now I can say I still prefer Incredibles 2 as a whole. Yeah. I think it's a better made movie. I think the storyline's bigger as well. But you're right, I think the villain from the original movie was a lot better executed as well. But nevertheless, this film, as you said, John, 55 million in 11 weeks is very impressive for UK figures. And I'm certainly looking forward to the third part. I know it's not been announced, but it's a no-brainer really, isn't it? But we're going to move on to the last film in the top 10 for this week. It's a film that's been hanging around for the last 10 weeks.
Here we go again.
Grossed 300,000 over the weekend. Overall, 64.5 million. It is, as you said, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again.
Yes, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again. My. It's still here, Stephen. Oh dear. As I did say, musicals, United Kingdom, they just seem to love their musicals over here. I wonder why. We're a very musical country.
Yes.
You know, we produced some of the greatest musicians the world has ever seen and will ever see. Not just the United Kingdom, but Glasgow in particular. But I digress, we're not talking about music. Well, we are in a way, because we're talking about Mamma Mia. I've still not went to see this film, Stephen. 10 weeks in, it's not going to be like the Great Showman, which railroaded me in, because it was been out so long, it'd been doing so well, I thought, screw it, I'm going to go and see it. Not this time though, because I've not seen the original. But hey, they don't need me. 60.5 million pounds, 10 weeks, remarkable performance. Box office worldwide, total gross £390.1 million. It's not get anywhere near the original film, which was sitting somewhere closer to $500 million worldwide. But hey ho, fantastic film by all accounts for the people that have seen it. They seem to be in pretty much unanimous agreement that it's a decent enough sequel, it's a good film. The worldwide gross and performance of the original, incidentally, I've just checked it as I'm gibbering away here, is $609.8 million, so nowhere near $200 million short. But I'm sure that isn't any reflection on the cinematic merits of this film, Stephen.
It's a good film, John. I'm not the biggest musical fan, as you know. I'm not the biggest ABBA fan, but for some reason it works. I didn't think it would be. I didn't think when it was announced that we're going to be doing a sequel that it merited a sequel. I thought everything's been concluded in that first movie. You know, it had the happy ending. We had the flashbacks from the past, but for some reason they felt that another movie was needed. They felt that those flashbacks needed reiterating in depth and expanded, and they recruited all these young guys and girls to play the younger roles, and it certainly worked. I think the likes of Lily James playing the young Donna was phenomenal. I think she's a very talented actress. I think she's a very talented singer as well. And the ones that played the young Harry, the young Sam and the young Bill were fantastic as well. Great singing voices as well. I think that's where it's worked. I think the casting, bringing all the original members back, and even adding Cher in there as well. I'm not a big Cher fan. I think introducing her and as Donna's mother, and Andy Garcia as well, which was a great inclusion as well. I never thought I'd see Andy Garcia in a musical, but nevertheless.
Incidentally, Stephen, I have to make an admission here before we finish up. I heard a track that a certain Pierce Brosnan was singing on. Jesus Christ, that guy's not a good singer.
No.
No, Pierce. Almost as bad at singing as he is at Bond.
I think that was probably from the first one, John. If it's the one I'm thinking about, it was terrible. But nevertheless, against all the odds, well, in my opinion anyway, it worked and it was a success. So whether it'll be in the top 10 next week, we'll just have to see. But with all the influx of October releases coming in next week, I very much doubt it.
Well, I hope it isn't, but that just brings us to the end of this week's episode of Box Office Chat, where we do break down the top 10 films within the United Kingdom's box office. We'd just like to thank you for listening to us once again, and we'll be back tomorrow with Movie Burner News.
Remember guys, if you enjoyed that episode, then do hit that like button, comment below, and maybe subscribe to the channel if you haven't done already. If you want to follow us on social media for all the latest updates from Movie Burner Entertainment, then we can be found on Twitter and Facebook at Movie Burners. You can also listen to us on Google Play and iTunes at the Movie Burner Podcast. And last but not least, if you want to access all the latest written reviews and the occasional article, then that can be found on our website at movieburnerentertainment.org. Until the next time, goodbye.